Wait. Are we talking about equipment? Or are we just doing the... Because you said we weren't. So are we doing the upcoming investigations and get like really like a big hype on that? Because I don't think starting off with that is going to create a hype.
Well, right now we're live, so... You see anything
thanks a lot. Thanks
you see anything you've done?
Why don't you tell me this? You set me up for failure.
We'll go with the flow.
Wait, look, my mouse is not working again.
Your mouse.
It's not working again.
You need this mouse pad?
It's not the mouse pad, it's just... Ron?
Hi, everybody.
You're not in the picture. Shannon's half in the picture.
I'm not in the picture?
No, you just got up and walked around there, but you're sitting there, so
Yeah.
we're a little bit behind. Now you just sat down. You're good.
Everybody in?
Yeah, it's,
There's
it's always behind.
About a 15-second delay, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Cool.
As usual, we had technical difficulties.
So much.
As per usual.
So, here's a nut.
Oh, thanks.
Nice.
I'm allergic to nuts. What are you doing?
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
No wonder your house
Actually, can you
doesn't
grab
work.
it closer?
Just drops it on the floor.
Take your nut back.
Take your nut back. I don't
Okay.
want it.
Live's and edited. Right behind
He's
there.
donating.
Can you reach it?
We're all I'm gonna answer comments.
Maybe does this work?
Uh-oh.
No, my mouse no. Anyways,
We made it. We made it.
guys, we're back live. It's gonna be it's a basic setup tonight because we're having technical difficulties as usual. Our OBS is not working. My laptop, I dropped some tea on my laptop.
Am I blurry?
So I'm using an older laptop, so it's not working as well as the old one. So we're going live feed through the cell phone, and I'm hoping the connection's good. So that's why it's going to be live Ghost Talks, very intimate tonight.
Yeah,
As you can see, we're a
battle.
close-knit group.
I said hello to us.
Hey?
I said hello to us so you can see.
Hello to us? Okay, that's good.
12 people watching that.
Yeah, that's good.
Hi, 12
okay,
people.
Well, good. Hi, 12 people.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so, as we usually do, we introduce the members. So Melanie, this will be her second Ghost Talk show. She was on the December 22nd one.
Yep.
Taylor's been on pretty much everything, so, you know, that's just Taylor. That's
Yeah,
what
you
she
know
does.
me.
Don was on the last one. Don is a new member of our team. Just recently started, so he's going to eventually get his feet wet once we get some investigations going.
Flooding fund.
And on the far, this would be for you on the far left, on my right, is Shannon. Shannon is also a new member of the team.
Welcome to Shannon.
Yes, welcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to Shannon.
Is Shannon like a singer or
Welcome
something?
to Shannon.
So Shannon is a recent new member. Shannon has a.
Hello, Andrew.
You can check her out on her website. She's got a short bio there of kind of like what she does and how she got into the paranormal. And she has a BA in psychology. So we have some
You got your work cut out.
Very
for
good
you.
asset.
In this
Very good
room.
yeah.
asset.
So Shannon's gonna examine all our heads to see if we're thinking
I
straight.
don't have a short
My
bio.
work cut out for me
I
here.
don't have
No
a short
consent.
bio.
No
You don't-
consent.
no, you have a
no
long
consent.
bio.
No
I didn't
consent.
see a bio.
To examine my part.
Yeah, it's on there. No, because you didn't give me one yet.
No, what do you want?
Well, I told you, give me a bio.
Of what?
Oh, he's like, there's something exciting happening. I must rub.
Okay, so we'll talk after the show. Yeah.
Friday,
I'm
Lord.
tired. There's my bio.
Okay, so topic today, we're going to talk about one thing I do want to touch is we usually talk a little bit about the equipment that we use.
I feel like I keep turning around.
So this is going to be just a basic conversation on the paranormal, and just you guys have questions, kind of like a Q&A. So
Look at your mouse. Can you stop?
drop my mouse again. See, making this guy work.
Initiation.
So yeah,
Why don't you sit?
that's fine.
Can't. I guess you can't.
I'm just trying to scroll down my my thing here, but it's not working. But anyways, at least-
Remain on.
Remain on point!
hold on, I gotta try something.
This is idiosyncrasies!
No,
hold on,
don't
hold on.
try anything.
Oh,
This is-
man!
Sorry, I
don't
want my ass in your face or whatever.
Oh,
This is
Jesus.
what we need to work on.
Yeah,
Try
hold on,
anything.
hold on,
Shouldn't be
hold on.
trying anything.
I got an idea.
We need a
I
talking
have an
stick.
idea. I have an idea.
Facebook's
Come on.
looking
Which
good.
means,
Uh,
you know what? It's live.
Things are going away. Have
People
we been
know-
to Waverly Hills?
People know what we do, and we always mess up all the time.
Are you
Hey, look,
looking
my
at the
mouse is working
questions?
now. That's what I want. Okay,
Taylor?
so we're back live. So we don't have the fancy
I figured
intro
you were-
or
I
the
can't-
Ghost
Oh,
Talks
On my
picture going on because
Or would you like to just use
we're
mine?
having technical
Use mine,
difficulties as
you know,
usual.
It's already on. You can exit.
Can you see everybody?
Yeah,
That's good.
That's good.
Good.
Alright.
Okay, so as I said, Melanie, Taylor, myself, Dawn, and Shannon. Unfortunately, Kyle could not make it tonight. He had a flood in his apartment, so couldn't make it tonight.
And these notes.
And we hope that you're all safe from the flooding. If any of you were in Ottawa and Gatineau areas, if you guys need help and stuff, you know, reach out to those on Facebook because they're always here to help.
I was in Constance Bay helping.
This guy.
Yeah, my old.
So we have one thing I wanted to talk about is why do we investigate at night? A lot of people ask us that. Why do paranormal investigators always investigate at
I
night?
asked that.
I think you did too.
Yeah.
And quite simply, it's less contamination. That's the main reason we do it at night. Mind you, our team does do investigations during the day too as well.
Yep.
So it's not just nighttime, but that's one of the main reasons why we do investigations at night, because there's less contamination, less noise, and we investigate based on controlled environments. So during the day, you got cars going by, you got people walking by the location, you got all sorts of noise that could contaminate your EVPs, potentially contaminate your equipment. So that's what we investigate at night. Another thing I wanted to touch on, we usually touch a little bit on one piece of equipment. So I want to touch a little bit on night vision cameras. Why do we use night vision cameras? Now, there's an hypothesis out there that maybe a spirit, an entity, or a ghost could present themselves in a light spectrum that we can't see.
Which is why we investigate at night.
Yeah.
Which is
Equipment
because you
works
have,
at night.
because you have the
Made
infrared.
to see things in the dark.
Yeah, so that's why we use infrared cameras, because our eyes cannot see infrared. So there's an hypothesis maybe
You
ghosts
don't have
appear.
shadows being cast. If there's no
Yeah.
light, you don't have shadows.
So that could be a reason where ghosts appear. It's in that light spectrum. Same thing with the full spectrum is another spot where ghosts could appear, which is in the full spectrum. So that's a reason why we use these types of equipment. But that's basically, we just wanted to touch on that one thing. So investigation. So what are we doing? What about Villisca? So we're doing Villisca, right?
Villisca, Edinburgh.
Edinburgh Manor.
And what's the third one?
Well, the third location we will be doing in Villisca is called the Roseman Bridge. Now, this investigation is just going to be an evening thing, something you guys can tune in when we live feed if it feeds properly, not like it does tonight.
It will.
It will. It will. It will feed
We'll
properly.
make it.
Yeah, I like it. Do we look intimate on camera?
Do we look into
Do we look intimate? Do we look like movie stars? Is what you're saying.
You want to sit on my lap, Dawn? No, okay.
That wasn't a brief. That wasn't brief.
Oh, yeah.
What's with that?
Yeah,
Next
it's
It's
time.
when Dan gets off topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what is this show about? Well, this show is going to be just basic stuff, basic conversation. You guys have questions, you ask us questions. Let us know if the feed is good. Can you see us properly? Can you get our audio good? Like I said, we're not using the Yeti microphone and everything else tonight. It's a basic feed. So,
You can hear out there, so it's obviously decent enough. It's coming
Yeah.
off the phone, so. You can turn it down. You can turn it down.
still good.
It's on the left side.
The lighting's still good though, I think. So, the lightings could be a little bit subdued, but
I'm
it is.
answering your questions. I'm on the live feed. Well, it says Don Cassidy, but it's just not on the Ghost admin. For
Oh,
some
you're
reason.
using the Don's phone right
Don Cassidy is Ghost right now on the chat.
now? Yeah. So Don Cassidy is Ghost on the chat.
Taylor is me.
And Taylor is Don.
Don.
We're having a huge identity crisis right now. Yes.
We're having,
Well, she can answer.
well, you know what?
questions
In
I
that
don't know
case,
about.
Shannon's got to be in psychology. She can help us out.
There's questions that I don't know answers to, like the Waverly said, all that stuff. So
Yeah, that's
she
right.
can
She
answer.
can answer.
that.
Okay.
I mean, I know.
So- So we introduced Dawn the last show. Now we introduce Shannon, which I think she'll be a great addition to our team. So as well with Dawn. Dawn's a bit of a skeptic, which we need in our team since we take a very scientific approach to our investigations. Shannon, you're a little bit of a skeptic too, but believer as well, just like we are. Yeah. So Shannon's kind of like on the same page.
I believe
Not on the
there's
same
something.
page.
There's something.
It's just
Not on the same.
my mind doesn't go
I am,
immediately
but
to that
I am.
place.
Exactly. So we don't jump to conclusions.
No.
Neither do you. So I think this team's all on the same page. So there's a new potential member, and I want to say hi to him right now. It's Andrew McGibbon. He's actually applied for our team as well. I had a conversation with Andrew. Hi, Andrew. I hope you're doing well.
Hey, Andrew.
Andrew is part of the Capital Ghostbusters, so he actually does charities with his team. Helps to do fundraisers. So if we do, once we get to sit down with him, he might be a new member as well. So we'll see if he's going to be a good addition or not. We'll have to meet with him. There's a certain kind of procedure that we do when we interview new members.
Because it's estrogen fest right now.
It's what?
It's an estrogen fest here.
Apparently our ovaries are
Well,
really
yeah,
big
we're
right now.
outnumbered. Yeah,
We're
we're outnumbered
always
42.
overreacting.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I hope so.
Oh, yeah.
You're testosteroning all over the place.
Yeah, stop doing that.
Ew.
I'm losing all that.
So, anyways, Andrew, like I said, we'll I'll be talking to the team about the conversation that we had, and then we'll go from there. So, a brief overview of our last show. We talked about the Ghost Box, which is like the Ghost Box. What's your take on the Ghost
It's
Box?
fun.
It's fun.
It's fun, but
It's fun. Is it a tool
if you use it in conjunction with other
with other equipment? Okay.
It's noisy.
It's noisy, but that's why we use headphones to go. So to do the EVPs, because there's less chance of audio matrixing, and there's less interpretation. You can't interpret what's there because you can't.
I'm not a big fan, but
No, me neither. I don't think anybody in the team is a very big fan of the Ghost Box.
I'm a fan of the Ghost Box.
it's just got to be different.
I am.
Got any scissors?
I think it's interesting. I think it's
Snip, snip, yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think that
It's
you're right.
interesting.
Along with like other equipment that's scientifically
corroborated.
accurate, that corroborates it. Absolutely, I think that's very cool. I don't believe in like the first matrixing conjunction. Oh yes, that's exactly what it is. I don't think that's accurate, but I definitely believe in it for sure. Yeah.
What about you, Taylor? What's your take on the Ghost Box? Which was the topic of our
I've
last
talked
show?
about it many times, but it's the same thing. I think that it has the potential to pick up something paranormal. I think if a ghost were talking, it's very possible it could catch that, but it's also amongst so much other garble that it's really hard to differentiate what's what. So I think if we were to get an intelligent response that has no bias coming from us, to have an expected response that we can matrix it in our minds, and is corroborated with some other equipment that's measuring some different form of science in the atmosphere, so it measures a temperature drop, or an EMF spike, or a vocal, matching the vocal on
It has to
there.
be really spectacular. Like it has to be really captivating to be of real wow.
Yeah.
I just
really
think
cool.
too many
Is it fun?
scissors.
It's super
The
fun.
fun I think is the hope in it that you're
Yeah.
it's the hope for sure.
Yeah.
You're always hoping.
So there's a possibility, because we don't really have any proof that the Ghost Box doesn't work.
I think we're so saturated with signals in the air from radio frequencies.
We got F
People
radio
on
frequencies, people on
walkie-talkies.
two-way radios. We actually, one investigation, we were using a baby monitor
Oh.
to monitor, of all things, we were actually using a baby monitor to monitor like the basement in this place. And it turns out the baby monitor we had clued into the neighbor's baby monitor. And
Oh.
Yeah, they're so easy. They
yeah,
pick
and
up
we
everything.
actually overheard a child talking. She went, "Oh my God, we've got something paranormal in the basement." It was not. It was actually the neighbor's kids talking over their baby monitor.
Yeah.
So that's like Don saying. It's there's so much when you use Ghost Box, these types of equipment. There could be so much contamination that
I'm
you
not saying
can't
it
really.
doesn't work. I'm just saying there's so many.
It's questionable.
How do you validate it, really? Unless it's like a really direct, poignant question
Yeah.
that only
Yeah, it has to be really captivating.
somebody
Like, wow.
would
Yeah.
actually
That's so
Yeah.
crazy. Like,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
like, okay, maybe I'll think about
Like in
this.
your face kind of response, and it's
Yeah.
intelligent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so as we said plenty of times, our team is based on controlled environments, which is the scientific approach. It's about less contamination, about making sure you're aware where all the team members are, and making sure that you don't have any contamination, any kind of outside noises. You have to tag a lot of stuff. So yeah, the Ghost Box, iffy. Night vision cameras, iffy as well. But I mean, who says that a ghost may not appear in the infrared light spectrum and potentially in the full spectrum? So that's why we use these types of equipment. We're not saying they work. We're not saying they don't work. But that's pretty much what we have at our disposal. house.
Getting lots of feedback.
Experiment with the equipment.
I'm gonna use it on my phone because I'm not used to typing on yours. It takes me a lot longer. My phone knows
Sure,
anyway.
mine's not good enough. That's fine.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions on Facebook?
Yeah, I've been answering them
Well,
as I
there's
go.
lots of
They're,
people do.
Well, we can answer them like vocally. As
yeah,
well.
yeah, you were kind of on a roll there, but they're asking if spirits seem to have any favorite ways to communicate. Favorite place that we've investigated.
Well, what are our favorite places? The hostel was one of them, right?
Yeah. I feel like the hostel is like not super like active, so and we were just there so many times. It was really fun the first like couple times.
It's
And
just
then we were
repetitive
just
a
there
little
a
bit,
lot,
yeah.
and it wasn't like highly active. I mean, none of them have been, but like
You've been there what, 4
I
times?
like the environment. It's a creepy place. The tours are really cool. When you know the history and you know that you're in a place that has history like that, it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we have kind of had our own experiences there outside of
yeah.
routine and stuff. So
Yeah.
I do tend to think that there is activity. It's just that we caught 1 or 2 things over the span of like a long time there,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like too
Well, we
heavy.
caught the window. We caught the
Yeah.
opening doors on audio,
EVP.
which we thought was potentially residual.
Yeah.
Comeback.
The Class AVP come back. I
But
think we could
EVPs,
hear that
you
one.
don't know they're happening at the time, so it's not as exciting. It's exciting when you're reviewing, I guess, and you find it.
Yeah, and we did our tests as far as the window. We did run some tests with manometers to test negative and positive air pressures. We did bring our footage to experts in that field, and all of them said that there's no way that window opened with the wind, and probability of being negative positive air pressure is next to none. So that window still remains unexplained at the hostel. And other locations we did, the Trinity, right?
Yeah, the
Trinity was
Trinity is, I mean, my favorite and least favorite at the same time. Like, the most terrifying, but the most exciting.
I'm gonna go stay there just to stay there, just to see what it's like. Cause I wasn't there, right?
You weren't
So
there, yeah,
I
that's
still want to go and
I wouldn't know
and
alone.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with a friend, but also someone that's into the paranormal. So
Yeah, Trinity was definitely a weird place. I'd love to go back there.
As you do.
Yeah, I'd love to go back to the Trinity.
The Bullock
So,
House too. The Bullock House was very authentic and
well,
had
because
a
of
lot
our
of
experiences.
traffic through it for sure, and tears.
Yeah.
People seeing some stuff
Steve
there.
wants to know if the team has ever dealt with demon entities.
Demonic entities.
Oh, Steve, and this is just, I don't know about the rest of the members. My personal opinion, I don't necessarily believe in demons. I believe in negative, positive energy. We can kind of call it whatever we want, I guess. It could be a demon, it could be a
Yeah, let's just
monster.
answer it as a malevolent spirit.
It's
That's
malevolent,
usually
yeah.
what we mean.
I believe there's a possibility. Have we dealt with malevolent entities? I think we have. Right?
Yeah,
Which would be where?
the Trinity.
The Trinity House Inn. There was we talked about this on another episode. There was some weird stuff that
maybe the
happened at that
church.
place.
Yeah, okay.
The church too, yeah. I fell down the stairs and
And you got stabbed in the eye.
I got stabbed in the eye and
We were asking
kind of
for it.
that could be just cataracts too. I mean, that looks good. We got some good lighting.
Wearing all black doesn't help.
A floating head.
Who is this? Jacqueline?
Okay,
Drop
I'm
my
taking,
mouse
your,
again.
I'm taking your mouse away.
Jacqueline, no, we agree. The only flashy person here is Dawn right now. Everybody else is wearing black, and
I
Shannon
don't
is
have a
dark.
shirt.
She's got gray, but
Yeah.
we all got dark shirts. No, it's not the best, but right now, like I said, we don't have our usual setup, so the lighting's not that great. But we hope you guys can hear us and at least see somewhat what our faces look like.
If you had that in that green color.
The what? That
This,
color? You think
this
it'd
on
be
the
a little...
back of the black shirts.
Oh, the green,
In
like
that
we
green,
usually have,
I
yeah.
like that, that's neat.
Well, maybe we'll try that on the next
Maybe
shirt.
if we had ghost talks on these shirts, we wear those shirts when
I
we're
want a
here.
shirt.
Well,
Feedback.
everybody's gonna have to buy shirts
You're gonna
eventually.
get ghost talk
I'll
shirts.
buy it.
That's
I'll
true.
get
Get
one
them
made.
custom
But I
for
like
the
black.
show, and
Yep.
then these
If I
can be
can
our
button up
investigation.
And they can be like
Actually, I'm gonna
lower
look at the
cut.
place where we get the t-shirts. They have dress shirts and different types of shirts.
If I wear those, you can see
Jackets
my
would be nice.
If I wear one of the t-shirts so you can see my man boobs, I don't like it.
I didn't know we were going there. We went there. We went there.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
It's
I go
just
lots of
it goes
places.
from
He
better.
went there.
It
I
goes
go
from better
everywhere.
to worse.
He goes
all the time.
everywhere.
Yeah.
He puts his fingers in all the pies. Yeah, he goes everywhere.
So,
Yep.
Where were we?
Yeah, boy.
I'm only
Okay.
here for
So-
comic relief. if that's
Yeah, you know what?
all.
You know what, Don? You're doing a hell of a good job tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and I think Shannon's impressed.
See, Selena said man
Family,
titties.
family
There you go.
show.
Thanks,
Family
Selena.
show, yeah.
Thanks, Selena.
Yeah, we don't have any bleeps, so no bleeping.
See, there you go.
I really try not to bleep.
Selena said man titties. There you go.
LOL, okay. Hi, Selena. I know Selena watches us all the time. So,
Someone ding the bell.
Okay.
Ding
So
the
I'm
bell.
looking at my notes. Okay, so
Alright, hang on there. There.
Yeah.
Alright.
they do that too.
It works, okay? It works.
So we like to entertain. So what's
NC-17 rating on this one.
In conclusion,
For me,
in conclusion? We're not even there yet.
yeah.
So as we talked before, we will be leaving on August 12th for a stateside road trip,
That's
which is going to start
I know, it's
at
like
the
if you watch this.
Edinburgh Manor, which
Message,
is
yeah.
in Edinburgh Manor. Is that in Monticello? Monticello.
Monticello?
Iowa?
What's that?
Monticello,
It's southern
Iowa.
Iowa anyway, I think.
Yeah,
It's only like a short drive.
it's not far from Villisca.
No, it's not.
So we're doing the Edinburgh Manor for one night, which will be on August 13th, 2019. This will be our first stop in Villisca. Then after that, we'll be heading off to
Here's a good question.
the Villisca Axe Murder House for the 16th and 17th. The in-between location we're going to do is going to be the Roseman Bridge in Villisca, Iowa, which is actually not too far from the Villisca Axe Murder House. Now, I know we did some research on the Roseman Bridge. You did some research,
Yeah.
Shannon, on it, and we have some notes somewhere. Who's going to read out the notes? Had to do with the next conflict.
I can read them.
You want to read
Or
them?
Taylor can read them.
Let's get Shannon
I'll get
talking
Shannon.
here.
Yeah, we gotta get Shannon talking
All
about
right.
here.
Get to hear Shannon's voice.
I had about 10 minutes to look this up.
Okay.
Thanks for the notice.
Yeah, I know that you're welcome, Shannon. That's what I do.
So the Roseman Bridge is a covered bridge in Madison County, Iowa. So the story goes that an inmate escaped the Madison County Jail in about 1883 and ran to this Roseman Bridge. Apparently the sheriff and a group of helpers chased the escapee there. Am I done now?
She's not done.
Am I done?
No, I hit it by accident, Shannon. It's okay, Shannon. Keep going.
And they
Watch your mouse.
Watch my mouse. Thanks, Don.
they trapped this escapee on the bridge. By accident, someone's gun went off, and that was the last anyone heard or seen of this inmate. He just vanished.
So did he commit suicide or was shot?
They're not sure if he was shot.
So the rumor is
Suicide.
his spirit still haunts
on
that bridge.
the bridge, yeah.
Is it a big bridge? Like, is it high?
It's not very big. It's like one of those. You know, you ever seen the movie Madison County?
Bridges of Madison County. yeah.
Bridge. That's
Yeah.
kind of like a bridge like that.
How'd you leave
Yeah,
out
it's
that part of the title?
So since then, they've
Hold on. Boom. Shh. Hold on.
yeah, Bell.
This is great.
There's been a lot of reports of apparitions on the bridge, strange incidents on the bridge.
Has anybody actually caught any kind of footage at this point?
There's some YouTube videos. I didn't have a
YouTube
chance to
videos.
really look into it. I only had about 10 minutes, so.
This guy right here.
Shannon is like she's gonna fit in really well. She's like poking at me.
And she's gonna
It's
jump
at
in
the
the
last minute before we did the live. Yes, Shannon, could you look? I had looked it up really quick. So I said, Shannon, can you look up the Roseman Bridge in Iowa? And I gave her about 10 minutes notice. So she's gonna fit in because she's already poking at me.
Good.
You know.
I like
Yeah.
Shane's.
So
You have two good questions whenever you're ready.
that was Steve, right? Steve had a question.
Hang on, was it Steve or Shane?
Steven and Rebecca have
What was Steven's question?
said, what are things that you don't agree with some of these ghost shows like Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures?
Well, I mean, you guys can all give I'll give you my take
Yeah,
on it.
you do it.
I think a lot of the shows right now, it's again jumping to conclusions, assuming that the equipment we use is legit for investigating the paranormal. There's no scientific base. Research done on these, it's all based on hypothesis, so we can't jump to conclusions. I think a lot of the shows are probably, I'm not going to say manipulated by the networks, but they have to.
Their money.
There's ratings to be done. I think a lot of them are legit paranormal researchers, but I think when it comes to the shows, it's too scripted, and you can't jump to conclusions. You really have to be critical of your evidence. And the biggest problem with a lot of these shows, and I'm not going to mention any names because we don't want to.
They did.
But
Yeah, they just said two specific names.
but I think the major issue with a lot of these shows is there's a lot of audio
I
matrixing,
think they-
especially with EVP. right? The audio matrix.
They start
I heard
off.
this.
I think they all start out with good intentions, but then they're pushed to, they're pushed to show something because we need viewers and you got to make the money.
Yeah.
Money,
I think the
Trina wants to give a shout
I
out.
wish Dad a happy birthday. Oh, is your dad's birthday?
tomorrow.
Oh my
Happy
goodness.
birthday, my boyfriend from
Otto Stiff.
Happy birthday.
Even the dog says
No,
happy
that's-
birthday. We have to do
say
this
that.
shout
Oh
out.
my God. So I want to give
They say happy birthday, too.
it's my father-in-law Otto Stiff. His birthday.
Sorry.
When is it?
Dramatic
28th?
pause.
No, it's actually 29th. It's on Monday.
Okay, so it is my father-in-law's birthday, Otto Stiff, on April 29th. So we want to wish him, I want to wish him personally, happy birthday, Otto. I wish I could be with you in Austria.
Yeah, we're going to visit you soon.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
and
would
I
be
hope,
awesome to go to
Colin.
Austria.
Big
I
hugs.
hope you make it out here like very soon. I'm going to be getting a brand new chess game just for you and me, and we're going to be playing some games. And I've been practicing, by the way.
You can play chess.
Yeah, I love
I'm
chess.
impressed.
But my father-in-law's here. We play chess all the time. Yeah, I love it. Otto, again, happy birthday from us. at
Happy
the
birthday,
Ghost,
Otto! We
from,
love
You
you!
want my father-in-law to be?
From the Ghost
Don't
team.
we?
And the dog.
You don't
And
have
the
to-
dog.
Now we invite them all around the...
And hope to see you soon. So again, happy birthday, Otto. Okay, so back to
Okay,
our
back
show.
to
Adventures,
talking about
Ghost
Ghost Adventures. Yes.
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 Okay.
Okay. Are you done with your opinion?
Yes. About the ghost shows, yeah.
Yeah.
It's because they jump to conclusions. That's my major issue, and the too much audio matrixing when they do VPs. They're not critical enough.
What
What
about
do
you,
you think?
Shannon? What about you, Shannon? Do you watch those shows?
I do.
Okay.
I like the Dead Files. I like Amy from the Dead Files.
Okay. Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I actually looked her up though because I really liked her, and there's a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff about
Yeah,
her
I
not
know.
being legit and
I
stuff.
know.
It's
It's
a shame.
entertaining, right? And they have
Oh,
to
for
put on a
sure.
show, and
Yeah.
and
I
they
love
have
it.
to
Get a
rid
certain
of
amount of
it.
stuff
No,
right.
absolutely, right? No, absolutely.
What about you, Don?
Me?
Don't
No,
be
I-
nice, Don. Be nice.
Be nice to have bagel bites,
Don is
I
yeah.
like-
as they say.
I
Oh, and
like-
that's why I drink.
buddies.
Love
I
it,
like
that's why
Nick
drink.
Groff.
Nick Groff.
I like Nick too.
Yeah, Nick is
Because I like the way that he broke off from those boneheads.
Well, he went to Paranormal Lockdown
sorry.
with
Which was a cool show.
with what's her face?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Oh, paranormal not lockdown now.
Yeah.
Paranormal Lockdown, because they say 3 days. They say 3 days
Yeah.
for the location. That's
72
what-
hours.
72 hours.
constant and sleep there and everything.
And daytime, they do daytime investigating, which is good too.
Yeah.
I find that Ghost Avengers only does it like if they get there and they start having activity, then they'll be like, we're starting our investigation right now.
Yeah.
But then it's like half the episode is all the history, and then they do a little bit, and I find that they don't. Like, you don't see a lot of debunking. There's a couple episodes, like once every couple months, they'll debunk
Yeah.
1 or 2 things maybe.
Yeah,
So I
they
find
do
that they
like
don't really, like, they're not really unbiased. Like, they're pretty biased with their...
Yeah, they've been doing this for so long. It's
And-
like they know ghosts
Yeah,
exist, so
and-
they go in there like
Yeah.
this place is haunted.
And I find
They-
that, like,
there's no question.
like,
it.
Mind you, one thing I really like is they go over the EVPs like right away. Like as soon as they do an
Yeah.
EVP session, they record it and they
The
go over
live-
right away so to see if there's
live
any
review.
stuff, right? So it kind of gives people engagement with like that kind of stuff to be like, what do you hear? Blah, blah.
And you know that they haven't tampered
Right.
with it.
Right.
Wow.
And
So it's like live
so it's
interaction.
live
Yeah.
interaction, right? So I think that that's good. I think the spirit box. I think their spirit box and their over dramatizations. Like Zach's always angry. Like if they think there's a demon there, or if they think there's like a bad malevolent spirit, like automatically he's in a
Always
hallway and he's like, I want to rip your throat out, and I'm like, dude, like I get it, but placebo effect, right? Like if people like, and that's
hysteria,
yeah, and that's what I think. If people can get better off of placebo more than an actual drug, you think about it that way in a sense of like if you believe so much in what you're feeling and what you're hearing and stuff, you'll manifest that stuff in a sense, right? So I think that I don't watch Ghost Hunters. I used to when I was younger, but
Now
I
they're
don't
coming out.
remember.
They're doing a new
I watch
show.
it. I
Yeah,
love
they are
it.
doing a new
But
show.
yeah,
right
that's
now.
what I saw on Facebook. Yeah,
But, see,
but
once they got rid of, once one of their members left, I'd watch it again. But when he was on there, once I saw that episode where, it was
Yeah.
like, man, you just...
I watch it because I love the locations they go to.
I
They
think
have-
agreed.
Well, I like
First
the-
dibs
They're
on the
so
best
historic and cool and
Yeah.
Well, the
B-roll's
thing is,
good,
what we-
like, the filming is
Tango
good.
and...
What we have to think too as a team is that, and this is something that I want to talk about again tonight because when we talked about it the last episode, is everybody has their own way of investigating. And really in the field right now, there's no way of saying what's right and what's wrong. We don't know, because it's not proven, unless you can actually prove it in a lab somewhere. So it's we don't bash it. Everybody's got their own way.
I would
right?
say Ghost
so we can't
Adventures
say
is
yes or
very
no that if it's good or
experimental.
not.
I think they're very experimental.
They get all this new
They're very
equipment like
open.
made for them, and
Yeah.
they do like live streams from halfway across the
Yeah.
country to see if they can get activity to transfer. They're like pushing the limits of the theories about the paranormal that we don't know. Like, can spirits be in one place and then 2 seconds in another place?
And
Can
the
they
equipment
do
that they have the
they
inventors
test all
making
of
and stuff. And
these
yes,
things.
you think that those things could be absolutely tampered with. They could be. But if we had peer review, they do peer reviewed scientific evidence, that would be substantial if those things are actually scientifically accurate to pick up certain frequencies that we are not aware of because we haven't explored that, you know?
Yeah.
So it definitely gives a new dynamic.
I love their experimental process of investigating.
Yeah.
And they think way outside the box, and they test all of the things that we
They don't like
question
the
about
ones where you build
paranormal. And
traps.
most people don't. Scientific.
Oh yeah, the traps.
I don't like that
The
one.
bear traps. The bears.
The
The bears.
The
Bears.
ghost traps. So this leading back into we also have a new group page called Ghost Hunters of Scientific Truth.
Come and join.
Yes.
Like
and
our
this,
page now. There should be an
this-
icon right here.
Did you see the page?
Icon.
Yeah. You did? So the new page, we're trying to promote a little bit more of cooperative cooperation between teams. We're actually in talks with another team from the States. I'm not going to say who yet. And we're actually trying to form, I guess, this association or coalition where investigators can have like standards that we can follow as far as investigative methods, how we review evidence. Was it a rubric? What was that thing that we had there? Like
A peer review.
or peer review on how what's paranormal, what's not, what's a Class A EVP. So something that everybody's like on the same page. So this is something we're working on. So which is why we opened up this new group page called Ghost Hunters of Scientific Truth, and not Ghost Hunters of Ottawa for Scientific Truth, but it's still our page.
Yeah.
So we're trying to promote a little bit of team solidarity. We do know that in the paranormal field right now, there's a lot of competition that goes on between teams. Can't say that me personally, as when I established Ghost, that I was not competitive. I'll be very honest with you. Well, this is something I think we should change, and I think teams should work together to face it. We're all looking for the same stuff.
We are.
We're all looking for evidence. So if we can find like a general standards where teams can agree on of what's good evidence, what's not, what's valid, what's not valid, and get like a general investigative method set down so everybody follows.
It would
the
be
same
nice if we
rules.
were representing like similar things, you know, like not necessarily like a cookie cutter way of doing
It's
things,
almost like
but
what the school, the Ottawa school did, so that like group events, everyone kind of know how everything works. They'd have like a standardized structure, you know.
Yeah.
it's like an association. Like it's
But-
nice
but
it
you know
would be
what's-
nice to
what's-
have this kind of community. You
The
know?
way I look at it too is like, right, this is totally non-ghost related. I'm taking my course to be a home inspector.
I'm not related.
I'm plugging. It's called DMD Home Inspections. Anyways, I'm graduating.
Self-advertising
Yeah,
now.
self-advertising.
Nice.
So I'm graduating in a month. But anyways,
Ring the bell.
as a home inspector, there's certain standards that I need to follow when I do a home inspection. So this is kind of like what we're trying to do with ghost investigating, or have paranormal teams on the same page, have certain standards that we all follow, because really we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to find evidence of the paranormal.
It's like our charter or mission statement, essentially. Like if we all kind of have like that same kind of goal and result. Not to go to heaven.
Oh, I thought that's good.
What else was I going to talk? Oh,
We have a question.
you have a question?
Let's have a
I
question.
told her
Let's
to
have a
answer.
question.
She asked if any of the
Sorry,
teammates
guys.
have abilities or gifts, like or sensitivities.
Sensitivities. Well,
I think we should talk about this, Dan.
No,
I think
we're not gonna
I
talk
think
about
we
it
should
now,
talk
because
about
it's
this.
not.
It's not, but we're people. We're human beings.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Talk, thank you.
Do we want to
Great.
talk about this? Okay, let's talk
Let's
about this.
talk about this,
That could
Dan.
be a show in itself.
That could be a show in itself.
Do you want to?
about
Okay,
it.
we could.
How
Do you want
about
to
we
do
do
that?
that
We
next show?
want to do
Five
that next
senses.
show, and we can talk
the
about.
5 cents.
And we
I've
can
been
really
thinking
go
about
in.
stuff.
Yeah.
Hey?
I've been thinking about stuff, lots of stuff,
That's
Does
a
it hurt?
whole show.
but not about like that particular thing, but trying to come up with my own kind of. I think a lot of things that happen that
Yeah.
people experience is from infrasound, from frequencies below that
Yeah.
you can't hear.
Yeah. It's kind of
I
like
think it messes with your perception, your brain, your balance, and
Well, actually,
a lot,
I still.
but let me finish.
Ring the bell. Somebody ring the bell.
No, for him, not me.
Okay.
But I still
Big
do
Shannon.
believe that there's something there that we don't know about.
Yeah.
There could be a whole other. You never know. There could be a
Yeah,
whole
I could
other.
make a whole. I have studied
Yeah.
this very deeply. We can make a whole episode.
There could
about
be a
this
whole other
easily.
life
yeah.
form
like
we don't even know
scientific.
about. A life
Yeah.
form that
Yeah.
we just don't see.
Scientifically.
Well, dimensions we know nothing about. Right?
Dimensions, everything.
But even like
Yeah.
dreams and things like that, like they're all kind of encompassing, right?
But the
Like
thing is, when you look at that
I
kind of
used to
stuff,
have
there-
dreams.
you
Even
can't,
ancient
you can't,
civilizations that
you
use
can't validate any of this stuff
senses.
scientifically, right? Can you?
Not yet. But,
Yes.
Well,
I literally have a book. I'll bring a book and I'll show it
if
to you. I'll
something
go
goes
over it with
flying
you and
off
if you're
that
okay
shelf
with
right now,
sharing
then I'm
some
like,
of
okay,
it.
what the hell, man? Now we
there's
got
some,
screwed.
yeah, there's just, and I think that's the whole thing in itself. There's some coincidences that just
No,
they
they're
just
not.
can't be coincidences.
Okay,
They
so
just-
let's.
That's
okay,
why
do
we're
you
all
want
in this, right? Because something has happened.
Well, yeah,
Everyone
because every one of
studied
us.
on this.
I don't know about.
Calm down. Ringing the bell. Is that
What
the-
the heck is that?
The
That's
window.
probably one of my cats.
No, the wind. It was the
win-
chime on the
the thing on
window.
the window.
Hold
There.
on.
It just
I'm
knocked.
scared. I'm gonna check that out.
See, summon something.
That's my dog's barking as
Yeah,
well.
because they know you summoned something.
Hold on. We need some more lighting.
Yeah, like it can't be a coincidence.
Yeah, we'll say-
Coincidence? I think not.
It's probably just my cat trying
Oh
to
yeah,
get in.
just jumping up
Don't
on the
let
window.
the evil thing in.
Hey, Dutch man! There's my cat. My black cat's
Black
going in.
kitty.
Hey, black cat. There's my black cat. Come on, Dutch man.
That was good.
Dutch wants in.
That's pretty good. I found another way
You
to
want to come in? Dutch man?
He's like, I can get under there.
Dutch man.
That's cool. Black cat.
It's my kitty
crossing
cat.
my path.
Called Tux. Okay.
This is on
Just
cam.
get the touch out of here.
Inappropriate. Be kissing your.
Okay, so
cat
how
on
about this
cam.
thing about our intuition success? We're gonna make another show out of this.
Yeah, we're gonna make we're gonna go a little bit deeper. I think next time because that's a whole thing in itself, and I think that would be really good to focus on that for a whole episode.
Great question too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great question. So thank you. Who said this?
Rebecca.
Rebecca. 10 points for Rebecca.
Yeah, we'll cover it.
To be continued. Yeah, to be continued.
Okay. Oh my goodness, we have fun.
I'm
with
so
this.
glad we had technical difficulties. This is really fun.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
little bit
guys.
more intimate. Yeah.
Yeah. You love that word, man.
Yeah, I love intimacy. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my life.
Oh, it's,
Get the kids
rated
out of the-
PG-13,
PG-13.
right?
No, it was 17 there. Andrew said it's.
Are you
your
kidding?
Holding hands only.
Are your kids
Maybe
watching
later.
tonight?
Maybe later.
your
Holding
kids
hands
are-
only. I'll
Well,
say it
what,
again.
What, 15?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we
Okay.
already talked about why we do
Why we do investigations at night?
investigations because there's less contamination. Why we
recap?
investigate at night? We talked about Villisca, which we have. There might be a fourth location that we're going to add to our
Oh,
Villisca,
Jesus.
our stateside road trip. So we have right now Hindenburg Manor, we have the Roseman Bridge, and the Villisca Axe Murder House. We might have a fourth location coming up soon. This is in talks right now, so it's not confirmed. But of course, we'll let you know on the next show. Now, something else that's coming up either May or June, I'm hoping. We're going to be doing some workshops. I don't know how many of you might have attended our workshop at, was it the Ottawa Jail Hostel? We had a workshop there. It sold out. People had a great time. We had a workshop and we had a public investigation. With a couple, we held a draw and a couple people won, and they spent the night with us on death row at the Ottawa Jail Hostel.
Was it intimate?
No, I don't know. That's another show.
It sure
That's
is.
another show.
Maybe we should go that route.
Oh boy.
Get more viewers.
Maybe that one can be used for scientific
Yeah.
purposes.
So we have actually, well, we'll tell you one of the workshops we'll be holding will be a location we did was last May. I think we did the Presbyterian Church last year.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
May.
So we did an investigation at the Presbyterian Church in Gananoque. And I'd like to thank Robin and Dave for Robin for helping us out and Dave for letting us do it. Now, what we've discussed with them is we'll be holding an actual paranormal workshop at the Presbyterian Church in the community hall in the back. Dates are not scheduled yet, but this is coming soon. It'll be this summer, hoping around May, June, which you guys can attend, and I'm sure we'll be able to do a slight evening investigation inside the church. That's still in discussion, so that's coming up. Now, we also have a other big event. I'm not going to mention where, and I'm not going to mention exactly. Anyways,
I want to know.
So why don't you just say anything?
because it's not planned yet. So usually,
I didn't know about
you know,
this
it's a good
bird
thing
shit.
I don't have that big mic there because you'd be
Hey,
really
Taylor.
loud right now.
See, Taylor, I'm having a kid, but it's not planned yet.
That's pretty good.
That was good, right? He's gonna make a voodoo doll! Stab me with pins. I know it.
Okay. So we have a big event we are planning coming for Halloween 2019. Little hint, this is going to be on the Quebec side. And that's as far as I'm going.
Oh, thank you.
So this is in the works. We're planning a huge
But-
event in the Quebec side.
A huge.
A Quebec location.
Huge. Huge. No
It's
way.
gonna be
Thanks are
huge.
Would
silent.
you prefer me
We've
to
got
say
the best
a big event?
investigations.
Use the luge.
We've got the best
Okay.
investigations in
A
Quebec.
voluptuous
I
event.
am the best investigator.
Oh,
my
man.
goodness, we're having
I just,
fun.
Romance
I
is
just
hilarious.
alienated all the Trump
Okay.
voters out there.
Now here's
Good.
something else.
Bye.
It's gonna be huge.
We're gonna have a general conversation after about the paranormal. Right now, we're just gonna announce what's coming up. So we have a few members that cannot make it on our stateside road trip. So I know there's gonna be 2 people attending, which will be on our draw that we're holding. So that's 2 people. But we're also gonna have 2 extra spots available. Which there's already 2 people that have already put dibs on it, but it's not confirmed yet. So
Come out of the
we'll have 2 spots where people can actually attend our stateside road trip.
3 years.
Yeah, I'm trying to discuss
explain
this.
I'm gonna fall here.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Better be a test after this.
So there's going to be 2 extra spots, potentially 3 spots available on our stateside road trip. This is not going to be a draw. People will be able to buy into this trip as an equal cost to the team. Everybody splits the cost evenly.
Wait, I'm
What-
analyzing something.
Are you changing?
You
your
said
mind?
no. You said that there were 2 spots open, and that 2 people were dibsing them, but not confirmed. So you can't offer more spots if they're dibsing it.
Well, it's a dibs. It's not a confirmation, right?
But if they say yes, then no spots are available for anyone else.
What's happening?
Anyways.
Get your spots, people. Get your spots.
Yeah,
Is what
get your
he's
spots.
saying.
So, anyways, there's the potential that aside from the 2 people that are going to, well, the 1 person that wins a draw and can bring somebody with them,
Imagine if I win.
there might be an extra couple of spots available to join us on the stateside road trip, which will be
man.
in August 2019. So that's
August what?
something.
12th? Through
August. We're going to leave on the 12th,
Yeah, okay.
and we should be back around August 19th
I
or 20th.
might not come back. I'm gonna just stay.
You're going to stay there?
Well, I gotta go back in September anyway.
Oh, they also just
The
stick
end of
around.
September.
Yeah. Okay.
Go to Kansas City.
Do it.
I never left on
You have a question
No, I
if
have
this is
one.
an actual break?
Is there a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Andrew says, what is your take on the Kinect camera and face swapping alone? Some videos I've seen about face swap are interesting.
Oh, is that the Xbox camera with all the
Yeah.
silly little bums dancing there?
I'm
I
not
don't know.
exactly.
No, I think
Not the one
it's
you
like
mean,
I
Facebook.
thought
I think
the
it's
Kinect
when
camera was the Stickman one.
Well, the Kinect is the stick thing.
Yeah.
when you take on
Face
the
swap is Snapchat.
Connect.
When you literally just
like,
thought we'd be able
I
to
face
do-
swapped with you once.
You
I
say
feel like
swap with me, and that
Oh,
was
but
not
what-
right.
what-
It was not right.
I
No,
thought
do
the
people
face
actually
swap.
use that for paranormal
Yeah,
investigating?
because sometimes it'll pick up a face like in the background where there is no face, and you'll just have like
What?
the wall as your face, and then a face will just be floating above your
Is that an
head.
actual different face from everybody
And
else?
there's a lot of paranormal stuff
It's your
on
own face.
Snapchat.
Oh, wow.
It's your. It's
I
actually
would
not a
say
face.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
know about
Snapchat
that.
is way too
That would freak
glitchy.
me
I
out.
would not trust
Yeah,
face
I
swap
wouldn't
at
trust-
all.
I wouldn't
That'd be
trust
different.
it.
The
So you
Kinect-
can focus
Isn't it
on
too much
looking at
manipulation?
The Kinect is too new of a piece of equipment, and I've noticed like when they use it on Ghost Adventures and stuff, that it shows up when there's something kind of shaped in a similar kind of shape as the body, and
It
so I think
attaches
it
itself
might
to
just
something.
I think kind of
Yeah.
just picks up on like rectangular, long kind of shapes or edging that
Dude, it's
Well, you know what it could be also? It could be
has
like
potential, but it's
But it
not
could, you know what it could be
absolutely
also? It's kind of like matrixing. So this camera would connect maybe some dots on a wall that kind of looks like a human shape,
Right.
and say, well, there's a spirit there when there's not.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
a
you see
machine
on
that
the
has
back there.
pareidolia.
But what if it was like on a wall? Like that's what I don't understand. If it's like a
Until
blank
you got the
slate
tux out of here.
kind of
Yeah,
thing,
he's-
you know, empty
Possible.
room,
I think-
empty room.
I think
kind
it
of thing.
potentially works. I think it just there's too much error.
finicky,
in it.
yeah,
It's
it's
the
not-
same
it's
as the ghost box. I think it probably works. I think if there is a spirit talking or there is a spirit standing there, it'll pick that up. But I think it'll pick up a lot of things that aren't spirit as well. So I think it's just too new. I think they'll figure it out in the coming years. And
Actually, I have
Snapchat is
I have a
just
Kinect
not-
camera upstairs. Just got to set it up.
really?
Yeah, I got a Kinect camera.
Oh.
So that's one piece of equipment we can. I'm going to try to do a setup with it,
Yeah.
and that's something we can try to test, which is what we do. We test equipment, right? To see if it works or not.
We've talked
Be
about
cool
it
to
before. You
put
never
that-
mentioned you have it.
I have a Kinect, but you need some extra
Put
parts
it
to
in
get
a
it going.
completely
type thing.
dark room
Yeah.
where there's nobody. It'd be awesome.
Come
Pick
here.
up somebody,
You be our mascot.
but they
He's
have
eating my foot.
It needs to
Oh, he's
move
eating it.
because
He's
usually it's
eating
just sitting there doing this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you need
He's
to.
gonna bite your face.
It needs to. If it actually moves like that, well then
No,
you got.
no, he's
But
in
it's
the
always
mood.
in the same spot.
But it's
It
always
just
in the same
dances
spot,
in the
dancing
same
like
spot
this.
all the
Love
time.
you.
That's the
Kayla gets
problem,
bitten on camera.
So
His
yeah,
face,
if you
his
set it
face,
up
you
and
careful.
there's an complete empty dark room, and the thing actually moves along and looks like it's walking. You know, that's a different story. But they're always just like this.
But sometimes they move.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, they
Have you
jump.
seen it move?
Yeah, I've
They
seen
jump.
them jump.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is what's compelling with the Kinect. Is sometimes they'll say like, raise your right arm, and it will, or they'll say like dance, and then you see it's like legs starting to move. Like
You've seen
Well, that's
And when they
more-
implode- can be
implode, the
reactionary.
weird ones I find is when they implode on each other. Like it'll be standing there, but then all of a sudden, I've seen all the limbs like just like come together and like then boop, it's
Mhm.
gone.
And, there
And
goes.
you're thinking to yourself, okay, well they talk about manifestation of energy, and when they
Different
go
levels
into
of
that stuff,
manifestation.
and then you see that, it's like, is that the physicality of the manifestation
Right.
within that spectrum? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's
And
the only way I can pick it
I
up.
actually shared something on the group a while ago. Is a person in physics talking about what the fourth dimension would look like to people in the third dimension, us.
Okay.
And he was explaining how, I mean, it's very abstract, but he was doing it with like diagrams and stuff. I don't know if some of you might have seen it or read it. It was a
Got
little
a
bit.
watch party going.
It was a good video. It simplified it, but it basically said that it would almost seem like it was growing, just sort of something that would appear and then it would grow and become very small and disappear. But basically, the way that we have in our mind how spirits appear
Yeah,
from an orb type shape
That's a good idea.
into a full body into like opaque, and then it
Back into its energy source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it would kind of look like from our angle of perception
Okay.
in the third dimension, having something from the fourth dimension.
You
pop
saying
up.
you guys talking about that? I have a theory. I think I've told you guys about that.
Kiss fast. Kiss fast.
You know, I read a book once and they talked about
Sorry.
the possibility of
That's what I was going for.
ghosts, spirits, entities are not really spirits of deceased people, but it could be interdimensional beings.
That's- yeah.
So there was something. It's kind of a funny anecdote, and this is the way I looked at it. It's like the dimensions are like an elevator. You're kind of like a high rise, and you got the human beings on floor number 1.
Mhm.
You got floor number 2. You got Sasquatch. Floor number 3. You got aliens.
Yeah.
Floor number 4. You got ghosts.
Right.
Floor number 5. You got demons. Let's say
But so much
demons.
of
If
the
demons,
information
but
that we
if-
get from
well,
spirits.
let me
is-
finish. Let me finish. If demons exist, they're on number 6, and so on and so on and so on.
Right.
But sometimes, and I said, I don't know, Sasquatch is on floor number 2. Sasquatch somehow comes out on floor number 1 and makes his presence known, and vice versa. Like aliens on floor number 3 might come out on the wrong floor. That's, again, is it proven? But I mean, that's a possibility that that's what happens. But I mean, we don't have any proof of that.
But
But
they
I mean,
would
it's kind
all
of a
exist
cool-
on the same dimension because it's time and space. So if they were appearing, it wouldn't be like, oh, it's so hard to explain quantum physics with words. They wouldn't be living as though they're like in little apartments and we just look in one apartment and there's a same shape, same type kind of being. It would be, I don't know how to explain this. Because space and time, each dimension, it becomes more and more abstract. Like space wouldn't even exist. So manifestation from the 4th level to the 5th level would be completely different. We probably wouldn't even be able to see it on the 5th dimension with our eyes. Like, I
It's
don't
hard to
know.
Are we
explain.
still
It's
on
so
the
hard.
floor?
How
It's
about we
impossible to
How
explain.
about
We
we,
don't have the
how about we
vocabulary.
make quantum physics one of our
Yeah.
shows
Yeah,
next
I would
time,
love
and
that.
we can actually research it a little bit.
I'm gonna reshare the video that I originally posted It's very simple for everyone to understand, and
We
it
lost our feed?
We
explains.
might have lost.
Check my
our
phone.
feed here. That's why I
Should
asked
still
Taylor to
be
check
on.
hers because mine is black.
Oh, bathroom.
Oh, you're still there? Okay.
I'm on Wi-Fi,
Nope,
so.
she's still there. Good.
I know we're still there. We're
Mine-
still live
mine-
feeding, so we're good.
Mine went wackadoodle here.
Whack-a-doodle. Hey, look at Tex Man.
What?
There you go.
That's all I have to say.
Shane's asking, how do we find out more about the trip?
Trip to Villisca?
No.
No, man.
Yeah,
The
I
trip
don't
to
know.
the
You
wash.
said the trip.
Yeah, mine next. Yeah.
Oh, you mean if they... Well, I mean, if you have any questions on the Villisca trip, you can send me an email at dan@ghost-canada.com, and I can answer whatever questions you have.
People keep suggesting like the U.S. We haven't been anywhere except for Iowa will be our first spot that we're going, but we'd like to hear about your stories.
I think we should.
We're
One
from
idea
Canada.
I thought would be the Rolling Hills Asylum that is 6 hours away in Buffalo.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it's a lot closer, yeah.
Buffalo, New York, and it's volunteer basis. Like the lady bought it, and there's a lot of people that volunteer to just rebuild the place, and like they have a lot of like accounts. So maybe we could do like even like little local interviews of people that have like volunteered there and stuff like that. And like I mean, the person who owns it, obviously, she feels very connected to the place. So it'd be really cool. We can even go and volunteer.
So this is one thing.
Yeah.
So this is one thing I want to actually talk, because you're talking about the Rolling Hills Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you look at spots like Villisca Axe Murder House or Rolling Hills Asylum, what's the other one that they have that a lot of
Waverly
teams,
Sanitarium.
Waverly Sanitarium.
Yeah, Waverly Hills would be really
Yeah.
cool.
The problem is with these locations, they're so hyped up. There's so much mass hysteria about
Bobby
it.
Mackey.
Yeah, so
Oh,
Bobby
no,
Mackey's house.
yeah,
is
relax. So
another one,
don't relax about
Bar.
that place.
Yeah.
Relax.
But the problem is these places are so hyped up, and that's the problem with these places. That you go in there with this misconception that it's haunted, and then it's a lot harder to investigate. Villisca is going to be the same thing. We're going to have to go in there with a critical mind and just assume that Villisca is simply a house, and we're going to look into the accounts that people have reported there, right? Don?
I will go into every asylum.
I was reading something.
I will go into every asylum thinking that it's just an abandoned asylum. Promise.
Well, that's how I think about it, anyways.
Now, you know what's funny? The other thing, you know, when people see ghosts, it's always somebody in the 1800s with a Victorian dress.
Not true.
How about somebody with a
Trust the
t-shirt and a
verify.
baseball cap? We never see ghosts with t-shirts and baseball
Are you
caps.
serious?
I've never seen a ghost with a t-shirt and a baseball cap.
Well,
you never hear about
I haven't
somebody
seen
seeing
that,
somebody that's
but-
like, in a suit.
I've seen a man in a
Or suit
suit.
and
Yeah.
Briefcase.
I've seen
Or
a man in a
briefcase,
suit with
yeah.
a big burly mustache, smell like musk. Terrible.
But what about, it's kind of weird. It always seems that ghosts always appear only in
Musk.
from the 1800s or 1900s, right? Early 1900s. Never anything that's like 2010.
No.
You know, that's what I find odd.
There's weirdness
You
going
know.
on in my phone.
So do we have any other questions?
No, I
People.
covered most
Why
of
is
them
my
for
phone
now.
missing them?
When your eyes
Let's look at my notes again, see what we got here.
That song's so bad.
It is bad.
How many viewers right now? Mine's not even showing up anymore.
How many views do we have?
I don't see any on my phone anymore.
Go do karaoke meantime.
It's
All the
gone.
way up.
He's gone. Missed
It doesn't show me right now. I think we have 17 people watching right now. And then it'll show me
70?
17.
17, that's not bad.
He was really excited.
That's good. Yeah, I thought it was 70. Holy shit.
17 homies.
So, so when it comes to the paranormal, like what topics that we could talk about? Like there's so much about the paranormal that we know nothing about. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No one knows
Yeah.
either. It's just one of those things.
Like I think one thing that's like really cool, think about like I don't know, to like put the scientific and like we're talking about like demonic presences and stuff like that. I think it would be really cool to kind of do investigations where there are these like satanic rituals that have happened like back in the day or ones that happen secretly that no one knows about kind of stuff.
Stir up.
I think that's really cool. Like especially
Provoking has been done
and
for us.
I think my interest came from it from the ancient Ram Inn in the UK because that place is
That
from
place
like
is nuts.
that place is nuts, and that place has hurt people, destroyed family, stuff like
That
that.
dude
So
finally died. At home.
he died.
Oh, the old guy that
wow,
managed
man,
to-
wow.
Yeah.
So like that, like places like that where there's no running water, and they talk about ley lines and things like that. I think those places are really cool. So I think maybe we could try and like see if we can focus on places that have demonic, things to try and corroborate some scientific evidence with forces essentially that could exist. possibly.
Yeah, but demonic forces. Who believes in demonic forces? Do you believe in demonic forces?
To a certain extent.
I do
Yeah.
because I've experienced it myself.
What
Yeah.
have you done? I'm more on Don's page.
No.
I think they're interdimensional beings.
I think so
they're
too.
just non-human
Yeah.
spirits. I don't believe like biblically.
I think
No.
I don't know,
it's
but I don't like
something
messing with it.
Combat
Well, no,
historically,
no, no,
historically, it's like
They're in every
they were
culture.
before. It's like it's all they were before we existed.
Ancient, right.
That's why it's written in every fucking
Right.
text.
They're almost at like a deity type level.
Use my effing word.
Is usually just irritable assholes. Pardon my language. Who was this?
Wait, what?
This is a comment by.
Let's
who's
read
this?
out loud.
Let's know. Rebecca. Hold on,
Rebecca!
Rebecca.
There goes your message. Yeah.
I
Wow.
thought he
Even
threw
my
his
mouse
phone.
again.
She's the only one who's really been commenting. Oh wait, Andrew's there again.
Hold on, Rebecca. No, I want to read Rebecca's comment. I like Rebecca's
Okay,
comment.
we'll go
Okay.
back to here.
The one where she said she loves me?
Love you, Rebecca.
So, Rebecca. Okay. Rebecca, I love your comment. 99% of claimed demonic activity is usually just irritable assholes. Pardon my language. I like that. So you're talking about, I guess, Rebecca, correct me if I'm wrong, so you're talking about maybe negative spirits or negative entities, not necessarily demonic, but just people that have had a serious bad day in the afterlife. Is that right?
Guess I know what I'm gonna be.
He's going to be a demonic
I'm
asshole.
gonna be.
Sorry.
I'm already an asshole. I'm gonna be a demonic one. Somebody wrote my
He's a
first
demonologist. Welcome, our new demonologist to the group.
But the
Recently
thing is,
appointed.
it isn't, like, we've talked about so many things, like about having psychics. Who mentioned the team they'd like to have a psychic join us?
I think we were talking about it to
Like debunk.
don't
or, like,
sigh at me because I feel it in my back.
I'm
Okay,
too
listen.
close. I'm
Okay,
too
listen.
close.
No,
Thank you.
Is that a
no. I have
psychic
to be
feeling?
this close. I have to be this close for you to listen to me. So listen.
It's a
This is
psychic
what I'm
feeling.
saying. So I
Yes.
think that we should
Yeah.
bring in a psychic. Is there a cat pawing my head? There is, isn't
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
He's
So
he's eating
he's
over
comfort-
it.
he's
It's a psychic
comforting me.
feeling.
So I think we should have a psychic, but not just one, a couple of them to interchange them, tell them nothing about where we're going, have one on investigation, because I find that if it's too scientific, it's boring. If it's too scientific, it's boring.
But
If there's
do
a little bit, of some outside influence with no.
You can let the audience decide. Because
Yeah,
we don't condone this. We don't really back it up as any kind of proof or evidence.
exactly.
We're not putting it in our files as any kind of evidence.
It's an
up to you.
experiment. It's an experiment. Like we want to test out humans
so
as
it would
an
be
experiment.
testing out a psychic would be like testing out the ghost box, right?
Just get
Yeah.
information from them, and then we check our EVPs and stuff later, see if it corroborates, see if we can prove it.
You
Even
guys,
people-
do know what my take is.
Yes,
on that.
I
But
know
you know
that,
what?
Of course.
But you know what?
Your name is
But
biased.
you know what? I'm actually open to the idea.
Because
To be determined.
Because there's different ways, right? Like some people do
There's
automatic
a lot of
writing, some
talking
people
about
do
that, so you can
seance,
scroll through
connecting,
what.
channeling stuff. So I mean, I think it would be really
This is all
cool
after
to
the
bring them in
comments.
and even for half an investigation and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, I think that'd be
So
cool.
I mean, like, I think I'm not going to speak for the whole team, but I think we all agree that there's a possibility that people do have that talent
Yeah.
of sight.
I believe you can sense
just-
stuff.
You can
but
sense stuff.
Nobody's
Yeah.
talking in my ear.
Believe you
So,
can sense.
Then again, I mean, if you go to an
Yeah,
investigation
you get
and
feelings, you know. Like,
Your heart, if you take a tissue, I'm a mortician, I know this shit. If you pick a little piece of tissue of your heart and you take it out and you put it under a microscope, there are electric currents that run even if your heart is not beating. Like
that's where you
there's
can
so
feel things
much
around you.
electricity, right? Like, and we run on that stuff. We run on electricity. That's
Photon.
but
that's
the thing is, that
created with a
Yeah.
cell.
We are
you know?
light. We're just
We're-
slowed down
it's
light
amazing.
and sound. We are.
But this is what I mean.
so what
It's
we're saying,
amazing.
so we're
you
saying
know?
there's a scientific point to that, really.
Yes, there is.
So we
and
do know-
I just told you
and we
about
do-
it.
So we do know that our brain has electrical impulses.
Everybody,
So
you're surrounded by electricity. Yes, you are
electricity and then also.
I don't believe somebody's constantly chatting in your ear, in your head. You know, I don't.
No, that's called schizophrenia.
Exactly. No, I don't believe when somebody says, "Oh, I can hear." You know, they walk in, there's an audience. Oh, somebody named so and so was talking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I
See-
think there
see-
are people that can do that, for sure.
I think there are people that can do that.
I would
I
like
wouldn't
to see-
discredit them only because if you go into a place, if you go into your friend's house and you you're like, oh man, like my stomach hurts. Oh, blah blah blah, and then they're like, well, someone got stabbed in the stomach in the kitchen, and like you never knew that, you know. So there's certain things where you're kind of
That's
like,
different.
how that's the difference. But the difference is so exciting. It's the difference.
You have
is so
too much
Oh,
exciting.
energy tea around you right now.
I had 2 cups of coffee.
I know.
I had coffee.
We have fun on
No,
there,
you
too.
can see like what you're saying. Okay, that's different. When if somebody's saying they're hearing all these voices in their head, talking to them, saying this and that. Well,
You got a question.
So people have different abilities.
but, well,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying for me,
And that's
I'm
okay.
very skeptical of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the thing is-
that part
I
of
think
it.
everyone is.
The thing is, I think everyone's had experiences where your intuition kicks in, and then you get proven like Bullock and the old guy out outside
Yeah.
the church. We're gonna get that on our next show. That's what we're gonna talk
That's
about.
what we're gonna talk about.
But this is where validation comes in.
Yeah.
Because I got validation that day.
Yeah.
Because of
What happened?
anyways, we're not gonna get into it right
So
now.
all the
Things
questions
happen.
out here.
Again, the problem is when it comes to psychics and intuition and feelings and all these types of things, they can't be validated. You can't measure them. You can't prove that it happened because it's only personal. It's only a personal experience.
It's only able
Well,
to be
not-
proven if it's like repetitive, if it's repeated.
I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I've been
Like, but
tested.
not,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
man-made.
Something like that.
So it's a possibility. We don't say that psychics or some people don't have that talent. Of course, it's possible because we can't disprove that they don't have that type of talent. Of course, we are believers and skeptics at the same time. And I'm not saying that I'm not open to maybe having a psychic join us one day. But it would have to be under very controlled environments, not knowing the location, not knowing where we're going,
Anything.
anything at all, and then just going by vibe, period.
Being blindfolded in the car on the way to the location.
Yeah, and then everything would be like a controlled.
That happened to me on my
Blindfolded.
30th birthday. I got kidnapped.
Who's that?
I got kidnapped for my 30th birthday, blindfolded, thrown in the back of a car
And
By
then
your
tortured,
buddies?
right?
by my buddies. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Torture buddies.
took me to Munster's farm, but when we got out, it was all these torches and things. I thought it was a KKK rally or something. Scared the crap out of me. This one guy said, "We're gonna leave you naked in the cornfield."
Not this guy. Not this guy.
So what you're saying, you have a lot of
I'm gonna
experiences
take a
you
pee
want to
break
share
and
with me,
catch
right?
up on some of these
I
questions.
need to too.
Oh my god, my weary bones.
You're 20.
You're weary
I-
bones? Seriously?
My
in your
weary
20s?
bones.
I don't get these kids these days. Weary bones. 20 something, she got weary bones.
Yeah.
I'm 52. That's where the weary bones come from.
I'm 49 and
And
I'm
you're
sitting here
49.
not moving.
Shannon is 35.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just crossing my leg.
So, yeah, so.
There she is leaving my phone. Here's your delay. Right.
Did you say, where's your phone?
Do you have any more questions?
There's lots of them on here. Why don't you
Yes.
take it and read them? If she's going to answer
She's
some
gonna
in the
answer
bathroom,
some of them
apparently.
in the bathroom.
Okay, so let's see the questions.
You're welcome,
Hello,
guys.
Take
Playing
a pee.
Yeah.
labels,
now you know.
but if
30
someone
seconds.
can prove me wrong, I would happily be open.
What? Give me that
Rebecca, I
one.
love your way of thinking. It's very much the way we look at things. We do believe that people have certain talents, but again, we need some proof.
Talents, huh?
Talents, psychic talents, I guess.
I'll tell you, cherry stand with baton.
Steven.
It's a pretty good talent.
Thanks for your comments, Stephen. They're
What
very
do you-
good comments,
what
but
do you
we're
rate
not
this
going
guy?
to mention them out loud.
Oh, look, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I saw that one.
That
That would be a cool EVP to catch, though.
That would be, yeah. You guys are so. Thank you, Selena. We're well balanced.
Are we well balanced?
I was thinking the
I hope
other
so,
way.
yeah.
Maybe unbalanced.
See? Angie Jones says she's no psychic, but she has fantastic intuition. I think that human beings have intuition.
Intuition, yes.
And I think there's a big difference between going into a location and actually trying to be
Yeah.
psychic, as opposed to your intuition that suddenly clicks in a flash. That I believe in more than somebody actually going into a location and actually being able to predict something.
Like motherhood or fatherhood.
Or
kind of
whatever.
thing. Well, if you think about it, it's like you use your intuition
Okay, yeah.
to, like, you know, with babies crying and stuff, like they can't communicate, right? So it's like there's this this nonverbal communication that's happening.
Baby's
but
crying,
it's
you just put it in a closet with some water in there. Is that intuition? No,
like,
I
we
guess
feed
that's-
us potatoes
that's
through the
the-
bullet holes in the tongue. Yes.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I mean, I'm a great father.
You probably are. I'm sure you are.
No, I'm not really.
Just gonna consistently shake my hand.
Rebecca says her husband's a very big skeptic.
Don't do that.
So is mine. Huge. And then he started being a believer when shit.
Okay, so we had a
happened.
question from Rebecca. She asked, my husband is a huge skeptic.
Huge.
And what
Huge,
I can do.
huge.
You gotta say it
To
like
the point I scare him.
huge.
Rebecca, if you feel you have intuition, just keep following your intuition, and eventually everything will fall into place.
Yeah, just
Sure.
go with the flow.
Go with
And
the
if
flow.
he thinks, and you know what, if he's uncomfortable, and you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable, I don't really know. That's my only
Can you
advice.
write that down?
You're welcome.
Hi, kitty cat.
There's a bell.
There's no cat. He's just making it up.
Okay.
Was that
So-
at the end of the bathroom break?
Yeah, are we having an intermission?
So we're having a slight intermission. Taylor's gone to the bathroom.
Nan's trying to read.
I'm trying to read.
Him reading?
He read a book once.
Oh my!
Remember that?
Mama taught him how to spoke. Yeah, I did.
I'm not a smart man. I know what ghosts are.
But I know what love is.
I was talking about ghosts.
Yeah, go see, yeah, go. It's
I'm talking about
We're
Forrest
getting
Gump.
intimate again.
Yeah, I'm too intimate.
Listen, your bromance, just relax.
Yeah.
You ever think you're playing with fire? I've heard of some.
I did that and
who's
set the
being attacked.
curtains
Oh,
on fire once.
that's a good question from Heath
This
Pinnell,
guy's a dad over here.
which kind of goes a little far back, I guess.
I had-
Heath, did we feel sometimes like we're playing with fire? Mind you, you
Heath?
guys
Like
haven't been
Heath?
on investigations
If you're
yet.
calling
Heath,
them out.
yeah.
Heath? Like Heath Ledger?
No, Heath Pinnell.
Oh.
He follows us.
Hi, Heath.
Heath, I
Feel
think
like
it's
my
a
ledger.
possibility that when you go to locations, you got to be careful what you do.
Isn't he dead?
I mean, we're very scientific based, but I mean, sometimes when you start playing around with fire, it can blow up in your face. Especially if you deal with,
Richard
as
Barry
people
knows
say,
that.
demonic entities.
Or
It's a
Dan could fall
possibility.
down the stairs or stab his eye out
What
or.
are you stabbing your
You
eye?
know-
What are you talking about?
I don't think-
your
I was at the.
Are you
we were-
provoking? You're not provoking.
no, we won't. We
So
usually
that's-
don't do. We don't
that's the
do.
difference, right?
We don't do a lot of
Provoking
provoking,
you
right?
playing with fire.
Yeah.
At the Trinity, did you do provoking?
Oh yeah, Trinity.
See?
Yeah.
I might
Transparency is
say
key.
something. I might say something every
Trinity,
once in a while.
I did a lot of
I might
provoking
get
at
pissed off.
Trinity, and that blew up in her face like big time.
Oh, there you go.
Big
So
time,
you
yeah.
get burnt. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get
yeah.
marked,
So
you
yeah,
get
if you
scratched.
mess around with it,
He
Heath.
sent him a picture.
Mind you, it's not. You can't validate that as paranormal because it is a personal experience. Yeah, I think if you provoke a little bit too much, you might regret it. Again,
It's like having a wife.
Well, my grandfather died as a child, so.
I am my own grandpa.
You're welcome.
I'd go toe to toe with you.
And
She gets me, you get me, you get me, you get
I'll
me.
go
You get me
toe-to-toe
so
with
much.
you.
It's so fun.
So, do we have any other questions, guys? Go ahead and ask us. I'm just looking at Don's phone over
Did
here.
I send you a picture? Remember, I sent you a picture of the picture of the 3 scratch marks.
No. you
Where?
never sent
What
me that.
happened?
I don't know.
You had
Why
3
don't
scratch
say
marks?
it?
Okay, this is
It was-
some. Okay,
it was
this is something I want
hilarious.
to talk about.
He wants to talk about he's red in the
It had
face.
nothing to
No,
Red
this
in
is
the
something I
face.
want to.
Yes, I know the Trinity. Blah 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 blah.
Okay, but why is that always 3?
Here, give me the phone. I'm gonna show you the. I'm gonna show you the picture.
I want to be the narrator for this whole
No, I want to
show.
talk. No. What about the 3 scratches?
I
What is
sent
with
you
the
the
3
picture.
fingers?
it's always
It's a
three.
mock.
Why is
Well,
it-
it's the mocking of the Trinity. It's the
Yeah, yeah.
mocking
I
of
wasn't
the
mocking
Father,
anything.
Son, Holy Spirit.
So
That's what
every
they
time somebody
say.
gets scratched, it's what?
It's an oppression, like it's an oppressive thing. Like like you're vulnerable.
Is that you?
That's
Yes.
a marking that you're vulnerable.
This,
You know.
this was me
Oh.
after I left
Where was
this
that?
house.
Where was
last
that?
After you
At
left
our
this
place?
house.
Yes. I
My
got
house
home.
is not
Let me see
possessed.
it.
I
Let me
got
see this
home.
shit.
I got home and I'm like, this is hilarious, Dan. Here, I sent it to
Oh,
you.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
You
it
did
was
send it to
funny.
me.
I'm like, hey Dan, look at this.
You sure you weren't scratching yourself?
Yeah, it wasn't anything demonic.
That's
I just
your
thought
leg. That's your leg, right?
I just thought it was no, it's my arm. I think it was here.
What body
Are you
part?
sure? Are you sure
No,
it's not like?
I'm not
Are you sure
sure.
it's not like this?
That ain't my leg, baby.
No,
I mean,
baby. Sarah, stop scratching it.
Are you having second thoughts, Shannon?
no, that's my arm. It's right here.
No, not
You
yet.
can see
Not
my
yet,
freckle
no.
right
Not
there.
yet, ladies and gentlemen.
It was right
Sorry,
here.
stretching a lot.
We are
I
in a
sent
slight
it to a-
intermission. We
I'm
will
like,
be.
that's funny. It's
I
just
take time to do yoga
ironic.
stretches. Just to keep
No,
my
I
balance.
was obviously scratched myself like that.
That's weird. That's weird.
He obviously did, even though he doesn't remember it, ladies and gentlemen. He obviously did.
No, there was nothing demonic about it.
But what is it like?
It was just funny that because if I had been in an investigation, somebody would have said, "Oh
He
my
already-
God, you have 3 scratch marks." So this
Okay.
is, look, Taylor, this is when I left his house last time.
So the 3 scratch. Okay, because if you look at all the investigations, like the shows you see on TV, anytime somebody gets scratched, there's always 3 scratches. So, but why is that? Why is it always 3 scratches? that means
Yeah.
it's got to be demonic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
every
exactly.
time somebody gets scratched, it means it's by a demon, right? Or is that the theory?
That's the theory.
That's the theory that
But
you
does that
pissed
make
off
any sense?
whatever.
Does that make any sense though? Like,
I have no idea.
That explains
Why 3?
scratch
Yeah,
marks.
why the 3?
why? Well, it mocks the Trinity, but I
But
mean,
you're going to be, yeah, the Trinity's, what's that, I forget what
the
it's
Father, Son, and
called.
Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
But
Maybe demons have 3 fingers, that's what Andrew says.
They're just all T-Rexes, just ghosts of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
could be. Yeah, it's actually a T-Rex.
T-Rex arms. Yeah, they can't reach you.
Yeah.
His little
That's the
arms are
growler.
up here.
Little arms are up there.
Poor things.
It's hard to say with the 3 scratches. I don't know. It's
I
just
don't
weird.
know.
It's just weird.
I think it's thought form. So over
Psychosomatic.
so many millennia of people believing in God and the devil and Christianity and putting all of this energy into these ideas like that 3 is a sacred number and that Jesus was born at 3 p.m. or died at 3 p.m. He died at 3 p.m. That
My dogs.
if there are
That's the
spirits
bark- that's the bark of the Trinity.
in quantum science, there is, I mean, it's fact that our thoughts can form reality. This reality might all be just thought.
Is that one there?
Oh, okay, it's fine. Remember, we're not supposed to look at the camera. We know this from
That's
filming.
only when you're filming an episode or something like that. That's Colin that
I'm
does that.
facing
Don't
up.
look at the camera. Yeah, but this time you can look at the camera. It's up there.
Yeah, in quantum science,
Stare at the camera.
our thought forms, if enough people put power into a thought form, there's a collective consciousness, it can kind of take on a life of its own, like an egregore. And so if enough people over millennia are putting power into the number 3 and all of these storylines, you can almost create these angels and demon type entities that could very much be kind of real in the sense that we've made them real through our thought manifestation and our collective hallucination of their existence as an energy form. So those spirits may not intelligently, but on the subconscious level, have all of this data coded into them that the opposite of, sacred, if they're a negative sort of energy, it would be the opposite of that. It would be the counterbalance. Everything in nature is balance. It's dualistic, right? So at 3 a.m. rather than 3 p.m. is when evil things happen, and things in 3s are more provoking to people who have good energy, right? And they want to get a reaction. They want to provoke you and they want to scare you, and so they've almost kind of taken on a life of their own through our own subconscious thoughts feeding into it and programming this data into its behavior.
Actually, we have a question from was Stephen again?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the question again?
What's the
Actually, I
opinion
like that question.
of spirits being attached to objects, people? So.
No, it was the other one.
It was what if something started threatening one of your team members? Would you take precautions?
Yes, that's what I was going to answer.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Would we take precautions? Somebody's phone is ringing. Yeah, we would take precautions, Stephen. I mean, we do have a lot of our team members, even me personally, I have my own beliefs, which I am a spiritual person. I have beliefs of my own, like everybody else in the team. But when we investigate, we take more of a scientific approach because that's the only way you can get valid evidence. If I would feel threatened by an entity or an entity would try to threaten one of my family members, yes, based on my spiritual side, yes, I would take necessary precautions based on my spirituality and what I believe in. Scientifically, we can't prove that, but yes, I think most of us would take.
Yeah, we
take
play the devil's advocate. And let's say this is real. We have to accept that.
That's
Obviously,
my
we have
wife's
to take
nickname.
a out of the box approach.
The devil's
There's nothing in
advocate.
science that can really stop some of the things that happen sometimes. So we would kind of then look into
Well,
more
we-
spiritual things. Yeah.
We did that at the Willow, didn't we? The day after the Willow, didn't we do
We
a
ha-
smudging?
yes.
I'm a part Native, so we did a Native American smudging, where we smudged ourselves to clear our energy and everything else. So
When
yeah.
you were having your experience too, we got you out of the house. Well, we kind of documented it for a little while, but when we really felt like you were at a point of no return and things were really getting kind of dark, we got you out of the house immediately.
and I felt better after.
Yeah, right
But again,
away.
can we validate that as real paranormal activity? No, because
No, but we don't really
It's a
care
personal
about that
experience.
when someone's in danger. I mean, we don't really care about science at that point. We're just trying to make sure that they're
well, if
okay.
somebody's having a negative experience at an investigation, whether it's your imagination or not,
Right.
you're still having a negative experience. So we need to deal with it at the time.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I have to put science aside and say we need to take care of this person.
If it doesn't seem like something that they should go to the hospital or like a mental ward for
That's Andrew.
first, if we can rule that out, then we're kind of left to sage or to
Andrew's
get
got
them away from there, or to even have a blessing of some kind more severe take place. And then he also asked a question about objects. What do we think?
Well, Andrew?
Yeah. No,
That's the question you just asked.
Spirits being attached to objects and people.
Well, do we believe in spirit? Do you believe in spirit attachments?
For sure.
Yeah. You don't? Kind of like me.
I don't know. I think they attach themselves to people.
Yeah. I think it's a possibility. I mean,
well, I've told you what happened to me. So
yeah.
With the family thing, with the 3 people in the family having the same
Everybody
thing.
had the same experience, yeah.
It's
Well, it's kind of like the same experience I had at Trinity. But again, it can't be validated as scientific evidence. But I mean, it's still.
I can't prove that happened to me, but I didn't know my cousin and my aunt had the same experience till we were all talking about this kind of thing, and then we're like, what? So we figure it's somebody who.
Well, when you have 3 people collaborating on the same story, it makes it more valid, right?
I figured it's somebody attached to our family. But then I got mad at it. I haven't had it since. So since I got mad, I told them to leave.
What are we talking about?
Spirits getting attached to people and objects.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to answer this question by Andrew here.
What is attached to
It
Paris?
should be energy of the person. You kind of feed the spirit, right? People who are made of electricity.
So there's a question here by Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
What is your thoughts on the theory of something being created out of just collective energy, such as if group is just negatives? Oh, is that the same thing?
That's
I'm like
she was
way
talking
up
about
there.
the Trinity. And
I'm like way up there. Yeah.
So hopefully, if Andrew's
I'm
still
listening.
watching, hopefully it kind of covered that. I don't know.
I'm listening.
Collective consciousness is totally a thing. They've done tons of experiments. It's pretty well accepted in the science community that there's global consciousness. Sometimes people feel a higher peak of anxiety right before a global disaster, and they've been able to measure that, and like all kinds of sorts of phenomena like that. So the fact that we can make thought forms become a reality, even if it's kind of still existing on the astral or on a different level. Our subconscious is kind of programming data all the time in our environment, and if we're all thinking the same data, it will kind of become combined to become almost its own entity with this programmed data into it of behaviors and stuff, and it can kind of take on a life of its own, which we would refer to as like an egregore or a thought form, which is what I think a lot of basically anything that falls into any kind of like non-human thing. I think that's what they become, or where they're from is a
She's a
thought form.
paranormal encyclopedia. That's good.
Well, you know what? Let's keep this whole subject. Let's make our next show based.
Yeah, we clearly have a lot.
How about let's say this. Let's say we make our next show non-scientific. We are a scientific team. That is our approach when we investigate locations, investigate private residences. But let's make our next show a non-scientific, very spiritual-based kind of show, and see what we come up with as far as people have had experiences.
I can still tie all of this into science. I still have experiments that I could tie into all
But
of
if you can't capture it, it's not valid. That's still experience.
But it is captured. There are like...
I haven't seen it yet.
I'll show you. I'll show you the...
If you can show me some videos, then I'll believe it. I'm a bit of a skeptic. But until I see something on camera,
lab
audio...
experiments at universities that have been conducted on psi abilities, on predictive programming,
Children that are
brains,
psychic,
stuff like that.
Well, they used to do remote viewing with the
remote,
Army
yeah,
and all that
exactly.
kind
It
of
is
stuff.
psi stuff like that. They have like well
what is it, those
documented.
guys,
We talk about that and the quantum
that movie they made
theories
with
and
George Clooney.
Which one's that?
George
Where
Clooney.
they could project. It's
oh,
about
men who
goats.
stare at goats.
Yeah,
Oh, what was
Yeah,
it?
men who stare at goats.
Oh,
Men
man,
Who Stare at Goats.
yeah.
I have that.
That's you.
Oh,
No, it's
'cause
goats
I got
staring.
2 goats. Yeah, they stare
They
at
have
me. these
square
goats.
eyelids.
They- no, they're
Eyelid
square
pupils. Sorry,
I
eyelids.
said, they both came to me when I was there. I said, "What's
These
up,
square eyelids are so confident.
He
about
turned
my
around and
answer.
walked away.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
I just said, "What's up, Dean?" And I walked away. See ya.
Okay, so
So,
A needle
what's
pulling thread.
our time like right now? We are at how long for our live feed right now?
Yeah, over an hour.
Over an hour right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over some notes here of what we wanted to cover with you guys. While I'm still scrolling here. If you guys have any other questions, go ahead and ask us, and we'll try to answer them as best as we can.
forgive me.
So,
Yeah, sure.
there's a cameras. We covered the what's it back to? Our team was good night. We covered that. We have my cat still on the left.
Cat is here.
Hey, my cat talks, man. Anyways, as we said, we have right now we have 3 locations on our stateside road trip. We will possibly be adding a 4th location. Oh, here's something that I want to mention. As y'all know,
Y'all.
Everyone better.
As
Everyone
y'all
on that. I
know-
like it.
You're practicing.
as y'all know, I went to Port Hope to film for a new series that's coming up on Our House Media. I can't divulge too much right now. Mind you, I've been in talks with the producer, and he may get us to do some other stuff, so that could be another thing that's upcoming for our team. Unfortunately, this time they only wanted one person, so they asked me to come up on the show and give my opinion on a couple of cases. This show is going to come up through Our House Media on TNE, I think, or Travel Channel. I can't mention too much information right now because it's still in the works. So anyways, I had a lot of fun filming with the crew of Our House Media at the Carlisle Hotel in Port Hope. Mind you, if you guys are ever in Port Hope, please visit the Carlisle Hotel, or they call it the Hotel Carlisle in the Bistro. No, I mean, I had a great time. And you know what? I actually felt like I was treated like a king. I was actually treated like a king. So exceptional hospitality. So anyways, this is some other stuff that might be upcoming for our team. So there's some new stuff coming up, especially with Our House Media, I hope. And there's a lot of other stuff that's coming up. Mind you, a lot of stuff is unconfirmed. So keep checking our page for updates.
Yeah, so don't let those people have dibs on stuff. Go getting spots. By the spot.
You have subtitles. I need to get that.
He's making voodoo dolls. Every time I say something. Your little puppet.
Okay, so if you guys have any more questions, we're gonna sign off fairly soon. Anything else you guys want to add as far as you're on it?
Love you, keep it real.
On what?
Peace in the Middle East.
And hair grease.
Hair grease.
Yo.
Dan's not a gangster. He tried.
No, I'm not. I don't want to be either. So, no, it's not my thing. So. Yo.
Hi, I'm
No offense to anybody though. No offense to anybody. We're just kidding around.
No offense to
Lots of
the
offense.
Yo, we love you,
We love our
gangsters.
gangs.
We love our gangsters.
I'm the offensive.
Thugs need hugs too.
Yeah, man.
Respect for everyone, right?
Yep, always and forever.
Always. Okay, so we will be, and I'm gonna check our calendar. Our next show is gonna be on. Hold on there. It's gonna be on May. Don't tell me it's on my birthday, right?
Oh, good.
Oh shoot!
Bang.
It's your birthday.
Meet you for a weekend.
So our next.
Oh, beer pong edition of.
So our next Ghost Talk show will actually be on May 25th, which is my birthday. Go figure. I didn't know it was actually going to fall on that day.
We have to have one celebratory drink as a group on the thing to talk about
Everyone
our
will have a
paranormal
shot together all over
experiences.
the world. Oh, everyone can have
Oh
one
yeah, for
shot
your
together all over
birthday,
the
Dan!
world.
That'd be
All
amazing.
over the world.
All,
What,
like we would do
on
a shot,
live.
and then everyone would do a shot with us.
For your birthday.
Globally. For your
Globally.
birthday.
Are we allowed to do that? On the
Yes, we
Why
are.
wouldn't you be? It's a private thing. Who cares? It's
Well,
You're
Yeah.
not talking about anything political,
It's
so
not
they won't ban
TV,
you on,
it's not-
on YouTube or
They drink on
Facebook.
Okay,
TV
so-
now anyway.
Okay.
It's
So
legal.
on May.
Somebody wants you to answer Angie's question.
What's Angie's
I
question?
have no idea. You'll have to find it because I'm not sure where it is.
Who's Angie's question? Do you have a
You'll have to go
by
back and
Angie?
find Angie's question. 'Cause I don't-
Find Angie's question.
They're starting to come up in weird orders, but not that I can see.
So somebody wants us to answer Angie's question over here.
Why don't somebody
Jones,
rewrite
have you
Angie's question?
you have had experiences with demonic, but have you ever had experiences with the angelic? Is that the one we need to answer?
Yes.
I didn't see that. Okay.
No.
Oh, angelic.
When I was a kid, it
Me
caught
personally,
later in life.
me personally, you guys.
I had an
Angelic?
experience when
No.
I was like, when I
I
was
feel like maybe
4.
my spirit guide type thing would kind of fall into that. There's
Yeah.
someone kind of guiding you and protecting you.
I had a spirit. I had a thing when I was 4. A thing experience, and I used to every time when I was 4, I photographically remember being in the washroom, and my mom came in and asked me. She goes, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "My guardian angels." And every time I was in the bathroom, I would always say it. I photographically remembered saying that, and I remember a lady named Ellen. That's all I remember at the time. Okay.
Ellen sounds like an angel name.
14,
Ellen.
15, 20 years
Ellen
later.
Jones.
So 20 years later, I end up at a funeral home that I was doing co-op for, and the lady looks at me and she goes, "Do you know a lady named Ellen?" And I looked at her and I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Well, she knows you."
and automatically all the flashes of me when I was 4 in that bathroom hit me, and I was like, oh my god. So I believe that that caught up to me in later in
all
life.
creepy like that. She knows you.
Yeah, and we were
Not like a
driving,
lady
and
at
we
a
were
grocery
driving,
store.
and we were driving, and I just met her. Like, I didn't know her from a hole in the ground. She didn't even know my last name.
Was that the
Like,
one we're talking about?
totally cool. So I think yes, I think there's some. I think there's some things that works of God in that, or works of flying spaghetti monster, whatever you believe in. I think there's just works of the Force that's totally.
Yeah, I don't think
Andrew has
we've
some
had experiences with like
angelic
positive
experience, he
kind of
says.
spirits.
Oh, Andrew, you did?
Like interactions that just
It
seem
says 01 after that.
friendly, like they're just trying to be heard, and they definitely didn't mean it.
Explain,
That's
Andrew.
90% of any of our
Sorry,
interactions
cat
with
on
Babbitt.
keyboard.
Just,
So
like,
the cat's not an
benevolent,
angelic
I'd say. I don't
experience.
know if I'd say
The cat.
angelic though.
That's where I'm going with this.
So what was Andrew saying?
He says he has some kind of angelic experience. And then he said, sorry, cat on keyboard. So I'm assuming the cat's the one with the angelic experience.
Well, that could be it.
Pretty cool.
Cat, can you
Sorry,
talk?
Okay,
Cat.
so
Cat.
on that note,
When are you going live next? Well, you just said that on your birthday, right?
May
So
25th.
we're going May live. Our next Ghost Talk show is going to be on May 25th, which ironically is on my birthday.
Dave's birthday, guys. We're gonna have birthday shots.
I will be 45.
What?
Don't laugh. Look at her.
So he's gonna be 54.
No,
is
I'm not
what
going to be
he's saying.
54.
Cat
Don't
doesn't
tell
make
my
you
You
age.
said 45.
That's a career limiting move.
You said
It's a
45.
career limiting move to mention my
Hey,
age.
they're not even allowed. They're not even allowed to ask you your age in the career spectrum. So
Anyways, on May 25th,
25th.
at the request of my ghost members, we're going to have a drink live on our
Crazy.
Ghost Talk.
You have one with
Ghost
us.
Talk
yeah, you
show.
have one with us.
And
birthday year for
we're
me
gonna
this
have a. We're going to just try to come up with some new topics for you on our next Ghost Talks, which will be on May 25th. Guys, thanks so much for joining us again tonight for our shenanigans and some of the weird stuff that we do. Again, I want to welcome Shannon to the team.
Shannon, everybody!
Welcome to Shannon.
Love
I
Shannon.
want to welcome Dawn to the team.
Dawn!
Kyle, sorry you couldn't make it tonight.
Kyle,
I
we
wish
miss
you
you.
could. And I'd like to say a very special hello to Colin.
Colin.
Hi, Colin.
Good night, Colin.
Good night, Colin.
Colin will be talking soon. So anyways, guys, have a good night. Thanks for... It's not a threat. It's a good thing.
Talking.
Anyways, guys, have a good night. Thanks for joining us once again on our Ghost Talks show.
Is it hot in here or is it just me?
Peace in the Middle East.
So of course we can't actually fade out when we do the
You
other.
say lights out, right?
Lights out.
1,
Yeah,
2,
sorry.
3. Lights out.
Peace
Hold
out.
on.
I should be program director.
We are
Okay.
fantastic.
we are great.
Okay, guys. The count of 3.
Okay.
You know what to say?
I
Yeah.
can't count that high.
Shannon.
Shannon.
Shannon. Shannon's too quiet. We have to get her to talk a little bit more. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Lights out.